This March 1st, 1996, I'm Penny Miles, and I'm doing an interview with Mrs. Mattie C. Haywood here at Miles College. How are you today, Mrs. Haywood?
Fine, I guess.
You have to guess about it today, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you look like you're doing fine.
Thank you.
We want to talk a little bit about the civil rights movement. We want to talk about you and your family and where you grew up and some of the things that occurred to you growing up in Marengo County. That's where you were born, right?
That's right.
Okay. How many brothers and sisters?
12.
12. And where did you come in, the middle or the youngest?
Second.
The second born? Mm-hmm. Okay. What about your mom and dad? Did your mom work outside of the home or?
Well, most time, because when farming time she did. But her time most was at the house with, with the babies.
Okay.
And whenever the babies get up some size or somebody say up, then she'd go out to the farm and work,
Mm-hmm.
Still had to see about the house and all the children.
Oh, really busy schedule, I'm sure she had.
Very, very busy. And then we had cows to see about, milk cows and things like that.
So you've milked a cow before?
Yeah, my grandfather ran a milk dairy.
In Marengo County?
Yeah.
Okay.
My grandfather owned a plantation, and so he had a milk dairy, my mother's dad. So then we had to help them too, because we worked kind of like all summer around them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your granddaddy had a plantation?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a milk dairy that he shipped milk. Like people, you all know about that, but we used to have to ship milk, then get the milk ready for the milkman to come and get it.
How did you get it ready for the milkman?
Well, we had to milk the cows. We didn't have these modern things to milking cows with now. We had to milk with our hands. Mm-hmm. And then we get the milk all strained up and fixed up for to put in a big milk can,
Yeah.
For to put out on the street for the milkman to pick up maybe 4 days the next day.
Mm. Did you, I've heard people talk about cow's milk, and when you milk the cows and you would drink the milk, did you drink any of the milk?
That's what we had to live off. We didn't have no store to get no milk from. We lived off our cow milk and the butter.
And it was fresh right from the cow?
Yeah, fresh. And then, we churn our milk. We had to, set the milk up and let it clabber, and then you take your churn and you take your thing and just churn your milk and get your butter.
I guess looking back, I don't know, was that fun or was it seem like it was hard work?
Well, it wasn't so hard because we knew nothing else to do. Go to school and then work and field and then see about the cows and the chickens and stuff like that. That was our living. Mm-hmm. And the people was much healthier then. They didn't have to worry about all this stuff you're doing now. Mm-hmm. Oh, you see me, shoot, I'm going to live to get 100.
Well, I don't know.
Rough off the farm and loved it then. But now I hate it. Now I look back, I hate it. Working for nothing.
What, working for nothing?
It's about for nothing. We had to make a living that way. Mm-hmm. And you didn't get paid like you get a pay every month, every week, every other week.
Yeah.
We get paid once a year unless we work with somebody else's farm.
Once a year?
You get paid once a year because we had to farm. You got to sell your cotton. And when if you make your cotton and make enough of cotton, then, you do that. You sell that. Don't go way back there. I get mad every time I think about it. Didn't get no paydays.
Okay. So what about school? How was school for you then?
School was pretty good. Mm-hmm. It was real, I just said it wasn't good for blacks because we didn't have nowhere to go but to church. That's where we went to church at. Okay. We didn't have schools like we got now.
Sure.
The only people who had school was the white. And if it wasn't but 10 of them live in your neighborhood, you could play around with them and all that. But when they leave out the neighborhood, they were very much different because they had a school to go to.
Okay.
But when we moved from down where we was living at down in Marengo, kind of moved up there to a place called Spring Hill, Alabama. Mm-hmm. Then we went to school because I left the 5th grade, then went up there and got into it wasn't called middle school, but junior high.
Oh. And
so that's the last school I went to because when I got out of there, I was glad to get away anyway because I wanted to get off the farm. And when my sister come for me, I was glad to go.
So your sister was older?
My older sister, she was living in a place called Farnsdale, Alabama.
Okay, and she came and
She wanted me to come up there and stay a while because she was sick and she needed somebody to work in her place. So I was glad to go, and she came for me. And Mother didn't want me to go, but she said, "Well, Mattie, you go ahead on, but I want you to come on back." But I didn't go back.
You got a taste of the city, huh?
I got it. It was a better city than where I was, because at least you was right at a little shopping area with one store, you know, and what you call a farm store with all the things you buy for your farm. Yeah, it was a very good experience.
What about your church before you moved with your sister? When you lived in the other area, Marengo County, with your mom and dad, were you all very active in church?
Yeah, but we didn't have church but every other Sunday. We didn't have church every Sunday like you have it now, because, see, we was kind of like the Baptists and the Methodists. The Methodists come in for 2 Sundays. We go in the first and the second, then the third and the fourth.
Oh.
So that way we shared our church business. Because, you know, we didn't have the real fancy churches like we got, but we did so much better than the people that got so much now, because look like everybody jealous of everybody. And we just got along like a family.
When you talk about getting along then like a family, what was, tell us about some of the things that you did
Sharing.
together.
If we milk a cow and the neighbor maybe a mile from where we lived didn't have any cow or no milk, we would share milk and butter. If they would kill a hog or something like that, see, we kind of like a family shared. Didn't nobody just had to do without because they didn't have what we had, and we didn't have to do back when we had what they had.
People more or less pitched in and helped each other.
That's what I'm saying, like a family. And it wasn't near as close together they are now. Yeah, but we just had a real good time because we raised everything we had to eat. We raised it from the farm, and it was good. Watermelons, everything.
When you talk about family and then you think about church, what about ministers then, growing up in Marengo County, or even where your sister lived when you moved up closer into the city with her? Were the churches real supportive of community? Did people do a lot at church?
They didn't do too much, just have regular service, because, see, the ministers that come to if they lived, I said, in Gary, in Alabama. That was a little town, a one-horse town where they had a depot there. Okay, if they had to come down to Marengo, down to the Marengo, or maybe up to Spring Hill, the priest, they had a long ways to go. Well, see, they wasn't getting salaries like we're getting salaries now. We did good paying our ministers. We had a lot of eggs, you had a lot of butter and milk.
So like
and they had families, and they would just bring that stuff and give it to them, and that's the way we lived. And
I'm sure they they probably got more in the food products than they would have if they had charged money.
And it's such a wonderful experience. So try it sometime when you get ready to get out of the city and get in the country. Get your big farm and just try it. See how you would like it.
I'm sure that I would like it.
You would love it for a minute. Cause now you get your property. You know, like if it's your own property, you do it like you want it. But when you're living from somebody else, it's different.
Now, later on, you said you moved. What age were you, or what grade were you when you went to live with your sister?
No, I come out of school, out of Spring Hill then. And I was more to the 10th grade. And I left, and I never did go back to school, because when I left, I went up there and went to work.
Okay.
And see, when I've been working in her place, I got a chance to get a little $5 a week salary. Cash money,
that was a lot then.
That was a heap of money. Yeah.
What
For
about
a 17-year-old girl? And girl used to having no money. Shoot, that was good money.
What did you do with all that money?
Well,
did you send some to your parents?
No, we wouldn't make dresses. We wouldn't buying dresses ready-made too much then, because most of the parents would make the children clothes. And we would take some of the money and buy some material, call them what you want, and get your pattern, let them make your dress for you to wear. And our school clothes had to be bought and made, through that, not no ready-made dress. So it was a glorious experience.
How did you get interested, or how did you get involved in the movement early on? Was it because of something that happened in your community, or whether it was where your sister, where your mother was, or whether it was when you moved with your sister?
No, when I came to Birmingham, nothing happen at that time in the country. The only thing I got, so when I got old enough, I kind of hate the farm. That was my purpose there. And when Sarah come for me, I was glad to leave. But I thought my mother wasn't going to let me go, because she kept saying, "No, Mattie, you can't go, because you got to stay here, see up the children, because I go off, you got to be here." And I just kept on praying, "Lord, let her me go, let her go." And I wouldn't go to bed that night.
You want to stay up?
I've got to stay up because I don't want to be asleep. If I'm asleep, she may not wake me up. So I said, I'm going to be sure to be awake. When Sarah grew up, I was so glad. And she said, we call her daughter, oldest children call her daughter. So I come at Mattie. I want to go up here and wake for me because I'm got to go to the doctor. So okay, she said, well, all right, but Mattie, when Sarah get better, you come on back home. I know in my mind I wasn't going back.
You were where you wanted to be.
I wasn't going back down. And so after I came to Birmingham, I came to Birmingham in 1939. Birmingham wasn't nothing but a smokestack when I came up there, boy. But Birmingham is beautiful now because they have grown by leaps and bounds the years that I've been here.
When you say a smokestack, take us back to how it kind of looked to you then.
Trains and all the plants. Nothing but TC&I and them was in the big bloom and all nothing but fall smog. And you go out there and all that soot in a few minutes, you be done breathe, you could wipe your nose and wipe that soot out your nose. And get all on your clothes. It was just that terrible. See, after the years changed, then the people know that this was a health hazard.
Yeah.
So then they started cutting that out, and that's something I believe what closed TC&I. Because they're one of the greatest steel companies in the United States. Alabama, I know, had a lot of fellows employed, but it sure messed up when they closed it down.
They closed it down, yeah. Because many people had worked there, and the money was good,
Right.
and they were able to send, I guess, children to college and buy homes and so many things that ordinarily they would not have been able to do.
But the strangest thing about this, Betty, when the fellows were working, people that went that didn't have to have education. That's what bothered me about the plant closed. You didn't have to be done finished no grade, and all you got to have a good mind to work and a strong body. That's part of our history. How the man would make the slave out the black man. If he see that rascal got some muscle, he would be glad to get him, because that guy over there, he is a good worker.
Yeah.
He ain't got to have no sense about writing his name, put an X down. And what hurt me when they closed the plant down, see, a lot of men that came from down south, come to Birmingham, got a job there, and didn't know but writing X's on there because they hadn't gone to school. Nobody required it.
Yeah.
So now here they get ready to, they done work there all the time and not old enough to retire. And here go the plant getting ready to kind of blow them out of the picture because we gonna have to upgrade the business.
And I think many people expressed how they were so saddened by it, and it ruined a lot of lives because they had nowhere to go.
That's what I'm saying. Lost a lot of homes too. A lot of people had bought homes up there, and when the Smithfield estate got the blooming out there, a lot of them went out there and bought them. When the plant closed, they had to lose what they got.
Do you think?
And they ain't ready to retire. You ain't gonna get no Social Security. And that's what the sad part about it.
It certainly was.
My husband never did work there. He worked there for after he came out of the Army, he worked there for a while, but he just didn't like the 3 shift.
Okay.
Morning shift, day shift, evening shift, and 4-day, midnight shift. He didn't like it, and so he quit it. And I was sorry that he did because you couldn't get no work like anything but working construction work.
Yeah.
Well, now they could get construction work. Well, they might work a week and may sit down 3 or 4.
So it's still difficult, and you having your family. You had 5 children.
I didn't have any kids then.
At that time.
I didn't have any kids when I joined New Pilgrim in 1941. My husband went in 43.
Okay.
And I didn't have any children when I joined New Pilgrim. I was just me and my husband. He was going into the service.
Okay.
And I joined New Pilgrim. I was there for 40-some years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Long time.
All my children born there, and they went to school in Birmingham, graduated, and they was baptized by Reverend Smith. Because my kids came in on Reverend Smith time. I joined on the Reverend Perry.
Oh, okay.
He was just coming 2 Sundays a month because he lived in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh.
And Reverend Smith wasn't in Birmingham then.
When you look at the movement, how did you get involved?
Reverend Smith, my church was involved.
And you felt it your obligation, or?
And I was so glad to get in that movement because, I have worked in Birmingham in private home, and you just see how you be treated sometimes, because
Tell us about that.
you're always that colored girl got to go to the back. And I don't care how much they grin in your cotton-picking face, you still a colored person, you hear me? So I would had to work because that's the way I could always get a job because he naturally was hiring, paying you about $4 a week and
working a domestic work.
Domestic work, because that's all black women could do. If they hadn't got to the 12th grade, they still couldn't get nothing but a maid in the hospital or work domestic work.
So when you worked in somebody's home, what did you do and how did they treat you? Tell us.
Well, now they treat you pretty good, as long as you know, it's folks that stay in your place, like Bull Carney, you said, niggas that stay in the place. As long as you stay in your place, you got to work. But I didn't have any problem, because I always liked to work at houses where children was, because I love children. I love to work with kids.
Okay.
Whether white or black, I love to work with. And even when I used to put on an ad, when I first came to Birmingham for a job, I would want one where they got some children. And you could write an ad in the newspaper, them about 15 cents.
Okay.
And I would get the red ad in there that I would like to have a job where children is. And so when I get there, when they come looking for you, you interview you, well, yeah, you be the very one I want, because I need somebody with my children.
Okay.
And so I get the job. But when they make me mad, I walk off of the job.
Well,
I asked the lady about going to church one. I said, my mother raised me up in church. I said, I'm a born-again Christian, and I just cannot work no 4 Sundays. I said, you're going to have to give me 2 Sundays a month to go to church. So she went there and talked to her husband and said, Mattie, we really can't hardly let you go on Sunday. We need you to fix the dinner. I said, well, I asked you for 2 Sundays a month to go to church. I said, because I've been working Sunday after Sunday. And she said, well, I'm sorry. Now, guess what I was making a week?
What were you making?
$4.
A week?
$4 a week for 7 days.
7, no time off?
My husband was not working either.
Okay.
And we was able to make it all through that. Now, we didn't have any children.
Yes.
We was staying with my sister-in-law up in the quarter up there where she stayed on the white folks' place. So we stayed up there with her.
So you lived over in Mountain Brook? Or
No, that was up on Highland Avenue, right there in 5 Points South.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we're right there in 5 Points
So
South.
you told the lady that you could not, since she wouldn't.
I walked off another job with old Jew with his rich self. He didn't have nothing but money. I was even renting one of his houses, and he wanted you working for 7 days, from 7 to 7, for $250.
Since you were staying at his house.
I wasn't staying in his house. I was staying with my sister-in-law in the service quarter down in 5 Points. And so he wanted to tell me about something. He said, you know how to serve the food you're supposed to serve on this side? And I just set the plate that stain on the table and walked out. And he went and got my husband. He told him, said, this young woman up here going to burn up my wife. And so he come there and he finished working that day, but I never did go back no more. I wasn't thinking about them. See, that reason I said, God give me the sense that I don't have to be pushed around. I don't take no mess. Oh, see, I've been pushed around too much when I was growing up. And when I got in that demonstration, when I learned about that, I was glad to get in there. So my husband said, Mattie, don't go. Said, because I'm working up here and this man will find out you in that demonstration, he would fire me. I said, well, if he fire you off that job, God got another for you. I said, he got another job for you. Well, just don't you get in there. So when my son, all the children getting out of school, and he went up there and got arrested. My boy did down at Atlantic Mill. You don't hear nothing about no Atlantic Mill no more. So Atlantic Mills on 8th Avenue North.
What was Atlantic Mills?
It was a store that, where dry goods and dresses and stuff. People just had a nice store there where to go and buy stuff real reasonable, like the dollar store and all like them.
Okay.
So when they broke out of school and got out there demonstrating out there on the Atlantic Mills on 8th Avenue, then John didn't come home that night. And so I got up and called Lola, because Lola was dead in that, which she was secretary.
Miss Hendricks?
Yeah, Lola Hendricks. And I called Lola. I said, Lola, John didn't come home last night. What happened? She said, well, did he demonstrate? I said, yes, he did. She said, well, he in jail. So he was very proud to be there, because they had so many of them there. They couldn't do nothing but put him out there and let him make a fool out of the white folks. Bethel told him, don't sit no more down there. Ain't got no room for him.
Really?
Yeah, Bethel didn't want no more of them folks, them children down there. Say, because we don't have no room. We ain't got no food. We can't feed them. We just made that much bigger fool out of me. Honey, I just loved our work, and we would be in meetings all day and sometimes half the night.
So you said because of the way you partially had been treated when you worked.
Yeah, when you're neglected and you're not making anything, but you're working all them hours, them umpteen hours. You got to work from 7 in the morning till 6 and 7 in the evening. Stay on some nights. Well, you're not making any money.
Did they give you a lunch break, or did they give you food to eat, or
no? You had plenty of food. That they believe in feeding you, because that old dude you out with, he believed in feeding the black. He believe in you being well fed, because you got to work hard.
Well, make sure you have a lot of strength, to work.
That's right.
So knowing what had happened to you when Reverend Smith, how did he start talking about the movement? Was it one Sunday in church, or how did you find
No,
out?
what happened? They had to when they had to go for a meeting. I think I was trying to. It looked like it in 1953 or 54. I can't get back that time, the year in my mind like it was, and they had to go for a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And we went. No, when I met Shuttleworth, we had a meeting and met Shuttleworth, and he said, "Well, he wants you to go back into your neighborhood and set up a civic league, get the people to vote." When nobody voted, everybody was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, when they got so scared, they didn't get real afraid until the Shuttleworth house got bombed.
Okay.
And then they done, oh Lord, don't talk to me about no voting. No, I've been lost my job.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get my teachers to go vote. I couldn't get, they were scared of their job. So that would bother me because I thought everybody had a right to vote if they wanted to, but I found out they did not have that right.
When you went to try yourself?
Yeah, and it took me a long time. They had more papers than you got in your hand. I to know how many representatives, how many people sent from different districts. I mean, see, I hadn't studied up on nothing like that because we wasn't even taught politics coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even taught in the school.
Yeah.
So then that was a new thing that you did when we got ready to vote. We had to pay the poll tax. And that's another thing I was glad to get in there because we cut out the poll tax. Fred Shuttleworth, them cut out them poll tax.
Mm-hmm.
I paid poll tax a long time before I could rest because I couldn't keep up with it every time I go back and look at that list and talk about how many representatives you got in Montgomery, how many you got in Washington, how many you got so and so. You couldn't do nothing with nothing like that. Heap of folk that was educated could not do it.
Mm-hmm.
But not the white didn't have that problem. Anybody had that problem but us.
So they let the white ones
walk in there and sign their name and vote and going out. I sit there when I carried a couple of fellas up there. I had people carried 7 people up there and got arrested before I did.
Mm-hmm.
Went in there and voted. Now George didn't have a problem because he was just out of the army, so he didn't have too many problems. I mean, getting there to register because he knew a lot of about politics because he had studied that in school in the Democracy when he was in high school.
Mm-hmm. So at church they were having meetings and you decided, well, this sounds like something really for me.
Every time I had when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I had because I had to come back when being president of PTA, come back and work on your teachers because you want them to be as brave as you are. Mm-hmm. But them fellows were scared. They would not do it till after we broke down the barrel of the poll taxes and broke down, got it fixed so that they wouldn't get out of their job because, Miss Lucinda Rowe was the only strong person, stood up for what she believed in. She was a principal of school.
What did Miss Roby do?
Went there and went stuck with that movement and got ready to vote. That's why it started with her and Lola and Professor Smith and Fred Shuttleworth and this man on this funeral home out here, and I can't think his name. He was one of the fellows that involved in that.
But they stuck together.
Oh yes, and after King, Fred had King to come in because see the black preachers had got scared too, so they turned on Fred.
Mm-hmm.
So Fred was kind of like out there, but just the street folk, just like common people like me and others, just out there with him, and a few, but all the ministers just had backed up off. So then it looked like things was going to go down, and that's what the white man thought.
Mm-hmm.
And when Fred called after King finished his job in Montgomery, and in 1963, I think he invited him to come here. And that's when the ball got to rolling back again. But other than that, it looked like they were just going. I tell everybody, Fred is my man regardless because he stood a lot in Birmingham. Because, see, we had the Ku Klux to fight here. Mm-hmm. Martin didn't have no Ku Klux down in Montgomery to fight. And them fellas were so quiet with Martin. Every time you see him on television, they read the paper, they was willing to walk, not riding on bus because he almost dealt with the bus. Mm-hmm. But we dealt with the water fountain, with voters' education, get out off the poll tax. And let me see another, and the jobs and things for people that, they need a good job. So we had so many things to fight in Birmingham, but Birmingham was the evil.
It was, really.
It was so evil till them fellas would just soon as come in your house and come in your yard at night when you're in the bed and throw something out there, a big blaze, probably in your yard. So it was just over here.
What do you think made them like that?
They just didn't want the black man to talk to the white girl.
Oh.
Long as you don't say nothing to that white girl, Charlie can play with you and me much as he wanted, and the wife don't say a word. Mm-hmm. But if he messed with that white girl, he already did, because he's going to take her out in the woods and lynch.
But didn't the white girls wanted to talk to some of the black boys?
They were scared. They was afraid. They did. That's why a lot of them used butlers around the house, because see, that's the only way they could get a chance to talk to the butler a lot because he worked for the mom and dad, driving the cars, you know, and taking them, running errands for them and stuff like that. And they liked that. So that's it. My daddy, when him and my mother separated, he had to leave Birmingham because of this problem.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened with your dad?
Well, he's working for these people, and he was the chauffeur around there. And this little daughter of theirs, you know, that's always like to play with him and mess around with him. And so he kind of got him. Them fellas probably got him at night because they don't do things in the daytime. No, they do they day and night. So he kind of slipped away. We was living in East Birmingham then. He was living out there with his mother after him and my mother separated. But he got away. Yeah. And see, that just shows you how many things and we live how we used to live at Dago's, and our Italians always live around in the neighborhood down there, had a little Dago store. We played with the whites. They come to our house and play. They sit down and eat with us sometimes. But when I got in that predicament, I couldn't believe people didn't like you. And you learn a lot. See, and this you wouldn't have learned this in a book ordinarily.
You had to experience.
But you got to experience this kind of stuff to believe that people would hate you so much that you work on job with folks now. They are grinning your face on that job, but I meet them out there somewhere in one of these big restaurants where you all usually eat lunch at and see how much. Oh, hello there, Miss Benny. How are you? No. I work with them down at that fire shelter down there, and they grins in my face a whole lot down there because, see, I was on the board down at the firehouse. That was one of my missions. So that wasn't then had me come into the picture. But I'm just giving you some of the things of life that push you to want to do things to change the pattern.
That's what it's about, and that's what we need to know.
That's right. Change the pattern. We don't want to just live in this rut all the time. Well, you know, I'm scared of this. And what hurt me about our people, when they get on a leadership role, and the white men lay down their rule to them, they can't treat me like they supposed to treat me, like they would just say, treat you if you go to their house and give a nice dinner. If you're in this job, I'm going to help you. You're my people. I'm going to help all of you, but our exceptional user got to be an exceptional person. Because I know you come from where I came from. Now, these people been on a pedestal all their life.
That's right.
And I got to look at you. They try to say, well, I'm going to help Miss Betty to do so and so and so. And then we get in this position now. Got to the third or fourth grade education. I went back to school and got a GED. They got a GED test, and we got in this position now. So, oh my God, I know so much now, honey. You just got to get it. That's all.
Why do you think some black people who get, like you said, the leadership positions and don't try to help or encourage or uplift or whatever word you want to use to help other black people? Why do you think that?
You know, now, that may be wrong in my thinking, but I'm thinking that because I had a hard time getting where I got, I'm going to let you go through the same thing. But if I love Mattie, that Mattie done made it this far, I ought to be glad to help another black lady, a black boy, a black girl, to help them to make it. I'm not going to get in this position where, well, honey, I got mine and you get yours. We don't play that. Now, we ain't supposed to play that kind of jive with our people. See, you love you, I love me, and I love you too because you is a person like me.
Sure.
And I like everybody. I don't love a lot of the white people, but I like everybody. But now some of them that you had to kind of separate the wheat from the tare. You got to get some of them, wean out some better ones.
Yeah.
You got some real rough one out there. And it just learned me a whole lot. That I wouldn't have never, I stayed in the school 50 years, I never would have learned what I've learned through the activities that I have been involved in.
Some of the activities that you've been involved in, you played a very big role in laying the groundwork. You were involved with those who were like the testers before they started the bus boycott. Weren't you riding on the buses? Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, now, what these children, they got the door open now. What are they doing? That's what bothered me about us. We done made the way for them to have a better day. Not to come up under this thing. You ain't got a boy around here 16 years old going to work for less than $5 an hour. Before he'll do it, he'll walk the street and steal. If I could get these young men and young boys and girls and young women to quit doing what they doing, and just put their mind in the right position, that I got to live in this society, so I'm going to try to make myself be better, then I can help somebody else. You can't get these 18-year-olds to vote, and I'm still working on that every day. Time if you get 18 years old, go to the library. You don't have to go to no courthouse.
That's right.
You got deputy readers at them libraries. Go to that library. You ain't got to do but to sign your name. You got to talk about who is the representative, who is the senator, and who is this and that and other. So all you got to do go down there and I want to qualify to vote. Okay, what's your name? My name's so-and-so. All right, put your name and address down there and then swear you in. That's all. Ain't got to pay nothing.
Why do you think they don't do it?
They are not interested. I found that I'm dealing with them every day. They are absolutely not interested. They're only interested in this thing with this child done brought into this state, that quick money. Miss Mattie, I ain't gonna work for no $20 a week, and I can say I ain't work for no $100 a week, and I can sit up and make over that in an hour. Huh. But who's suffering after you make it, though, baby?
You mean by selling drugs or doing something
anything
wrong?
to get that quick money.
Mm-hmm.
But who you hurt? You ain't hurt nobody but you, because see, you got to pay because you're scared to even tell on the person who get it to you, who let you have it.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to learn better. We got to wake up. In the generation now, this young generation is not even waking fast enough now. In the park Sunday,
Yeah.
for that march,
for the statue that was in Carolina Park?
That park should have been running over. Had one black man criticizing to take the statue down. And I bet you know him, he'd be around town all the time taking pictures, fine looking man, and he'd be taking pictures. Everywhere you go, you can see that man with that camera taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to take it down. Because it's just disgracing the police folks. I said, well, it ain't. I was telling the lady what called me this morning. I said, not disgracing police. That's what they did to people then.
And that's what it's about. I think it's the saying about you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been.
The way you came from, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So then this man gonna get up there and talk about, yeah, you need to take it down because they ain't got no business up there because that just make the police look shame. It should have been looking shame when they put them hose pipe on them folks. Mm-hmm. Bull Connor should have been looking shame when he said up there, put that old ball on niggas over there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they saw Fred going down the street and it's turned that hose pipe and going down to the 16th Street Church, like from the 17th Street on down there, walking down the street down there and talking. They turned that big nozzle on it. Boy, them children made a fool out of me. They go to throw the hose pipe on the children, they'll turn around and jump behind the newsman and knock them in the camera down. I'm telling you, the children had some fun off them people.
But when you look back at it, and when you, like I said about the buses, as a tester, you had to get on the bus first, and to see how things were.
And you get on the bus, pay your money, sit in the seat. Because Fred had already given us a lecture before we left the meeting.
Okay.
So we had to meet sometime twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
He said, now when you get on the bus, so now just get there and sit down. So you got blacks on it gonna start to. What they setting up there for? We got on the bus that same, and one white lady going to Norwood, Miss Overtree said, Miss Haywood, let's go to Norwood. She goes, I ride Norwood every day going to work. Mm-hmm. And you have 5 on the bus, white, and it loaded with blacks, because white was living all up in Norwood at that time. Mm-hmm. And you got to stand up there on your job while one sit on this seat and one sit on that and one sit on that. And they do it, and every time they move, if you move the board, hey, the bus man looking out the mirror up there, hey, put that board back up there.
Now, the board was a piece of cardboard.
Dividing line. Nigga on this side, white on this side.
Okay.
And that was the dividing line.
Uh-huh.
Water fountain was the dividing line.
Okay.
The bathroom was the dividing line. You got this one over here, you going to go this one over here, where stuff run all out the door. But if you want to go right that way, you had to go. See, we had a lot to do, a girl, and we worked hard. And I was one of the person that was so glad to be with the people to work hard to do some changes. Mm-hmm. And now they're trying to put us back because our young people are not taking too much interest in nothing. But these old stupid tenants and another pair of strange pants hanging all off their ends, they're not interested. And I mean, I see some boys that I have to talk to. I just talk to children, young men, period.
Okay.
And if I see them walk, hey man, you're gonna lose your pants now. What's the matter?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, ma'am, I ain't going to lose it. And then he put it up a little bit and pull it right back down.
Uh-huh.
I said, fella, you better watch it. You ain't got nothing back there to hold them up. Pull your pants up. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, ma'am. I forgot my belt. They don't be real sad. You know I know better than that. I forgot my belt. Mm-hmm. Then one morning, I got a little grandson now trying to follow in the same pattern.
What do you think? Do you think it's the parents not doing enough, not taking them to church? What's the answer?
But it's no answer till the parents learn herself that I don't want my boy going around looking like a little tramp with his clothes hanging off of him, his shirts hanging down to his knees. Let him wear his clothes. My boy left Birmingham and he wouldn't wear a tie when he left here and went to Chicago where my sister was. He wouldn't even want to wear a tie to church. Oh, Mama, that's just too tight. He don't want to call me Mama most of the time. I don't want that tie on my neck. I ain't got to do all that to go to church.
Uh-huh.
But when he got up there in Chicago,
Yes.
and the Muslims started picking his mind.
Okay.
That boy wore that tie 5 days or 6 days in that starch and iron shirt and that suit, because he's going to be selling them papers, he's going to be selling that fish for them folks, and they wasn't paying him nothing. $1.25 an hour, but he done married a wife with 2 and 3 children. Farrakhan is a good fella because he got a good philosophy.
Yes.
If you can pick the brains of these young generation now that go around and you don't see no young men, if he just got them out of prison, they got their clothes up on.
That's right.
They belt on. They dress neat, a beautiful hairstyle. You done cut their hair. They don't wear all that, and that stuff ain't, no, they don't do that. He got a good philosophy to teach man to respect himself. And that's for you. Now, that's the only part I like about him, because he want to be a king. He don't have to work. He just sit back and they bring it to him. Yeah, but I'd say if it could get in the mind of a lot of our young black boys, I wish they would. Because they got to do it. These boys got to change a whole lot for to get some good jobs. Stay in school.
During the beginning of the movement, what do you think some of the things occurred that that we could use today, or the things in that could carry over into today?
Love and respect for yourself. You got to have love yourself. You can't look at what somebody else doing and do it, and do what they doing. Don't let nobody pick your mind that you're going to change from your intelligence, your respect, and your love for yourself. You don't let nobody do that to you, because see, you got a mind. You got to use your own mind. And if you see your friend doing it, well, you got to be like the rest of them. I be with a lot of folks. Every time we see Miss Mattie, she by herself, because see, I can't take on the junk these people doing. I know better. So if I can't help you to straighten up yourself, just go and leave them alone. And I think if these young men and young ladies and parents would stop doing like you said, I was strict on my children. I made them mine. I take them to church. I made them go to school. I did so and so. But we was a family that doing the thing to help them to be able to work in this society now. But when they get grown, instead of they passing that same over to their children, oh no, that's just too rough. People say, I ain't treating my children like people used to treat children in your days, Mama. I said, well, all right then, honey. I said, in the jail running over because you ain't treating them like my mama treated me. And you see, I don't have to go to jail. I said, I ain't got nothing but get and work. But your children now, when they get up there in jail, and I ain't crying over now. Because I want them to learn how to discipline their kids, make them mind.
Yeah.
That's love, Betty. You don't do that. Miss Benny, I'm calling you Betty.
That's okay.
You don't love your child if you just let them just go and do like you want. That's the style. And see, television and running.
Television's running.
Television running. And Mama go along with it.
What about the movement then? Or is there anything about the movement that you would have wanted to change?
Nothing about that movement I see I could have changed.
Okay.
Because whatever was did in the movement, it was really absolutely necessary.
Sure.
It was really necessary to do it. And no, I want to change anything. I just want us to try to go forward now.
That's
and not turn back, not let ourselves get involved in a little economic, a little money deal and just turn our life around so we are no more citizens if we get messed up with this stuff. We can't go vote. Them fellas get out of jail, got to be out of while before they can get that citizenship back. Look how many votes we lose in the black community. And so this one ain't nothing to change. They said, well, we integrate. We shouldn't have done it. Yes, we should have. You should have been in Birmingham. Where you come from anyway? You lived in Birmingham all your life?
Lived in Philadelphia part of my life.
Oh, well, it was maybe a little better up there because when you had been looking at our schools and going to our schools, I worked with the school and teachers scared to even ask the board to get them some books for the children. The books hand down from other schools, hand down to our school, regular books and scratched all in some of them. And them children had to use them books. But we had some good children come out of our school.
Oh, absolutely.
Because got parents that work together with those children. Even grandparents would get that way. You can't get no parents to work with them now. You can get no PTA members to come. They come every now and then, but it's talking about $1. They ain't talking about the welfare of the child, or regular school, or they need some good books. But see, that's what I talked about. Because the thing that I did not get, I had a chance to help them to get it.
What, when you look back, are there any things that you may have had during the movement, any memories of things that you kept that you still have, any items?
No, I didn't. Well, I didn't get anything out of the movement but my own self come out. Because, see, I didn't, they don't, unless you kind of like in the high bracket, then you get a award or something like that. But you're just a servant when you don't, you're not numbered among the high up.
But you still did a good job.
Oh, yes.
You got other people.
And I got the thing for myself. The feeling to me make me feel good.
And that's what it's about.
That we can make a change in this society, and we don't have to go around killing up nobody.
You got some of your neighbors to become involved in the movement too, didn't you?
I got a few that was in our when we had our civic league at the church down at New Antioch Baptist Church. Got a few of the civic league members to get involved in it, but the people, a whole bunch of people living back because they were scared. They was afraid. You couldn't get them to do anything. They wouldn't even go in. A young boy told me, I said, well, look, I said, Junior, I said, the police is going to get ready now to get some more black police on folk. We have but a few of them, very, very few. And see, the white man was beating them up. If he tell a nigger, you hear me say so-and-so? And see, I can praise George Siebels. He was the one that sent them police back to school to learn how to, when you make a arrest or get a ticket or something, don't come in calling you nigger. And that was the first word come out their mouth. And they'll pull out that blackjack in a minute. I'm telling you, because I've seen him. I hit a man one night in my neighborhood. His wife called him on. That thing really hurt me. I cried so. And she lied on him. That's what made me mad, because he was in our community, black community, up there where I live on the south side. And that man come out there one day and made him put his hand up against that wall, and every hit him with that. I went in the house, because he was living in a duplex house right in that neighborhood. And see, they used to do that. And so George, when he got to be the mayor of the city of Birmingham, George Siebels, you've heard of him, you don't know him. Well, anyway, he was the one started these fellas there, because they really didn't know how to talk to black. And I don't care how old you're still a boy. If you're 75, you're still a boy. You hear me talking to you, boy? And not to make him know he got a name. He just walking on. Hey, Ian, do you hear me talking to you? Look back. Me? Yeah, you hear me talking to you. And then he go to putting out that stick out there. You don't hardly see him walk with the stick no more.
So what do you think the movement, one of the many things that the movement has done, but what is something that you think the movement was responsible for then that has helped to make things better today?
Better, I can't say that, because it looked like to me, instead of making it better, we got free, just like the children of Israel. When Jesus Christ got them, God got them out the promised land, they figured they didn't have to do nothing then, because they could live off the parents. With the parents' prayers and everything. We don't have to pray no more, but God had to let them know that every knee must bow and every tongue got to confess. And that's the way these young folks, they got to see what the past was for them. If they had to come on up through that past, they would have been tough. Bloodshed in the streets, been a lot of bloodshed in the streets. And it wouldn't have been no white man blood, been too many, because we didn't have no guns. They didn't want to have all the guns.
You've been really interesting. Is it something that I didn't ask you that before we leave you want to share with us about what you were involved with, or today about the movement or anything? Oh,
well, now, we don't have too much going now, because since Fred moved out of Birmingham and went to, he comes
Cincinnati,
in periodically, moved to Cincinnati. Reverend Gardner got it now, so you just hear about they going to have a meeting at a certain place, but Reverend Gardner don't have any, and he was next to Shudway, he was the vice. And he just took it on off his step, and he don't even come to the meeting, and nobody don't. I don't know who goes to his meeting, but he's supposed to have it.
So we need more involvement.
Sure, we need to keep the thing intact, so get these young people, these young boys, instead of putting a curfew up there, put them in some kind of something that they can get off the streets and learn how to respect themselves, and have more respect for their girls and their women. They don't have no respect for them. They're soon to get out there, use the biggest filthy word in their mouth. Don't you see that woman sitting over there? I'm sorry, miss. We said, why your respect at? Was you trained with any respect? And so better we did it, but look like we done did them like I tell you about children of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
We done freed them now. They can go to any restaurant they want. They can go to any hotel they want. They can go to any movie they want. They ain't got to go upstairs or down in the basement. And they done got so free now, I can just sit where I want. All you got to do is have the money. And if I don't make enough money on the job, I go somewhere and take it. And so it was a thing that we have done for these kids, and they did not appreciate it. They still don't appreciate it because so many of them just turning another way.
And don't have any self-respect.
No self-respect at all, and they don't respect their women. These young girls, I guess if somebody got to start to deal them with that self-respect of y'all in these classes, because these children in high school, these young men and young women now, they going on out into society, into jobs and things, and they got to get up there and get mad with the man if he says something to the man got the job. Mm-hmm. You got to respect the man if you want to keep your job.
That's
so
true.
We got to keep instilling that in our people. That's a lot they got to learn. They done got so free, they don't want nothing else.
Okay.
Because they can make what they want to make now. I spend like they want, and I ain't got to give my mama my money.
You have certainly been a joy this evening, and I really thank you for sharing this information with us. And
thank you, Betty. You're welcome, but don't ask me no more.
Okay. Okay.
Well,